Co-Chair, I am delivering this statement in my national capacity. I associate myself with the statements made by Fiji and Benin on behalf of the Group of 77 and China and LDCs respectively. Mr. Co-Chair, promotion and protection of human rights, right to development, and good governance play a key role to people-centered development. Extreme poverty, hunger, ignorance, and disease not only impede the enjoyment of full human rights, but undermine the very dignity of human being. Without the right to development, the question of achieving the value and principles of human rights largely becomes rhetoric in our developing societies, more so in the cases of LDCs. Nepal being a party to over 24 human rights instruments, including the 7 core ones, and continuing efforts to development, remains off track in meeting many MDGs and other human rights-related development. Also, the quality and sustainability of the progress achieved in the MDGs and other internationally agreed development goals continue to be areas of concern. Nepal attaches utmost significance to the universal values and principles of human rights. Nepal underlines the importance of rights-based approach to development and calls for the inclusion of all human rights, civil and political, economic, social, cultural, environmental, as well as right to development in the component of SDGs, together with a strong global follow-up and accountability framework. Our experiences in MDGs underpin that the weak means of implementation, poor follow-up, and unclear accountability mechanism do not take us to the future that we want as envisioned by our leaders in the Rio+20 conference. It is high time to come together with a strong political will to shape the roadmap for the global humanity so that no one will be left behind. We share the view that the development process aimed at sustained, inclusive, and equitable economic growth, sustainable development, and poverty eradication should reflect the changing realities of societies based on the core universal human rights principles, including through non-discrimination, equality and social justice, peace and security, and respect for human rights, freedom and dignity. Mr. Co-Chair, the Rio+20 outcome document has clearly stipulated a central role in the formulation, implementation, and follow-up of SDGs, for which there is an imperative need to review and strengthen the current framework of global governance, particularly the international financial and development institutions and forums such as the World Bank, IMF, WTO, and G20 with strong policy and program coherence with the United Nations. We underscore that the voice and participation of the LDCs in the decision-making and norm-setting process of all the bodies and institutions, in particular Bretton Woods institutions, should be given utmost priority. Similarly, the UN system and the regional commissions should play an important role in the areas of policy coordination, follow-up, and accountability mechanism of SDGs at the different levels. Good governance and the rule of law at national, regional, and international levels remain critical in this context. Mr. Co-Chair, the new global governance framework for SDGs should ensure that all SDGs policies, programs, and initiatives are supportive of and responsive to the special needs and priorities of the poorest and the most vulnerable countries, such as the LDCs, LLDCs, emerging from conflict. And enhanced coordination and coherence among the different policy areas of the international development architecture, including ODA, trade, debt, and finance, taking into account new and emerging challenges will go a long way in achieving global sustainability in the countries in a special situation. In this new framework, we would like to see a strengthened global partnership for sustainable development with clear goals, targets, and indicators in all means of global cooperation. The constructive role of non-state actors such as civil society, private sector, academia, think tanks, media must be recognized, and multi-stakeholder approach must be pursued in this endeavor. Mr. Co-Chair, undertaking rights-based development approach with core human rights values and principles, and ensuring effective governance framework at all levels is a huge task for countries like Nepal. In the new SDGs campaign, the business as usual modus operandi does not work for these LDCs and LLDCs. It is essential that a robust framework of global governance for SDGs is designated to deliver adequate resources through national systems and strengthen institutional capacity with a view to enabling the poorest, weakest, neediest, and the most vulnerable countries to pursue SDGs under their national ownership and leadership. It is my delegation's fervent hope that together we will leave no stone unturned to forge the SDGs with which each and every citizen living in this planet becomes able to enjoy all his or her rights with full human dignity in all spheres of life. I thank you, Mr. Co-Chair.